Channel's Week in Review. Getting in touch with Jewish roots to support the mosque proposed for Ground Zero, Jewish designers making high-fashion accessories, sitting down with the Druze member of Likud's Knesset caucus, and the Jewish Channel steps into the ring with Dimitri Salita. It's the Jewish news that's changing your world on this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. The mosque at Ground Zero has become a Jewish communal issue, with Jewish leaders stepping into the fray. The proposed Islamic Cultural Center and Mosque, to be called Cordoba House, has been making national headlines of late as it goes through final approval processes in various committees. While a great many right-wing commentators have denounced the building of a mosque so close to that of those killed by radical Islamic terrorists on 9/11, Jewish leaders have mostly stayed out of the discussion. When asked, they've usually cited the First Amendment's guarantees of religious freedom. That changed last week with a statement from the Anti-Defamation League in which it declared, "The controversy which has emerged regarding the building of an Islamic center at this location is counterproductive to the healing process. Therefore, under these unique circumstances, we believe the city of New York would be better served if an alternative location could be found." The statement further asserted, "Proponents of the Islamic Center may have every right to build at this site and may even have chosen the site to send a positive message about Islam. The bigotry some have expressed in attacking them is unfair and wrong. But ultimately, this is not a question of rights, but a question of what is right. In our judgment, building an Islamic Center in the shadow of the World Trade Center will cause some victims more pain unnecessarily, and that is not right." When asked by the New York Times about the feelings of family members of victims of 9/11, Foxman said, "Survivors of the Holocaust are entitled to feelings that are irrational," and then added of the families of 9/11 victims, "Their anguish entitles them to positions that others would categorize as irrational or bigoted." Foxman's statements have now led many others in the Jewish community to begin taking sides on the issue. Thus far, Jewish leaders seem to be siding against Foxman. At a press conference held after a key Landmarks Commission vote helped the Cordoba House pass another hurdle to proceeding, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg gathered a group of leaders from different faiths to speak in favor of the mosque as an entity whose legal approval would continue an American tradition of religious liberty. On the Jewish side, Bloomberg was joined by Rabbi Erwin Kula, president of Klal, Kara Berkowitz of the UJA Federation of New York, Matthew Weiner of the Interfaith Center of New York, and Rabbi Bob Kaplan of New York's Jewish Community Relations Council. On the way to his appearance there, Kula posted a note on Twitter saying, "Heading to City Hall for press conference on Islamic Cultural Center, seems ADL opposition roused most Jewish leadership to stand up." But the most impassioned speech came from Mayor Bloomberg, who invoked the history of religious tolerance shown to members of all faiths in American and New York history. Speaking of the history of immigration of members of various faiths to this country in the 16 and 1700s, Bloomberg then also addressed the relevance of 9/11 to the Cordoba House project.
"We may not always agree with every one of our neighbors. That's life. And it's part of living in such a diverse and dense city. But we also recognize that part of being a New Yorker is living with your neighbors in mutual respect and tolerance. It was exactly that spirit of openness and acceptance that was attacked on 9/11/2001.
Moving on to a different issue of religious minorities, this week I sat down with one of the few Druze members of the Knesset, the Likud party's Ayub Kara. Kara is also Deputy Minister for Development of the Negev and Galilee. He spoke about why Druze are Zionists and what his thoughts are on President Barack Obama and the peace process. All right, Deputy Minister Kara, thank you for joining us here.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
So in the development of the Negev and Galilee, what do you think are some of the major issues that American Jews should be concerned about?
We need that people from United States invest in the north and in the south. We give much rights for people that want to come to invest in this area. It's important from the side of national side. It's important for the future of Israel. Also from the side, the economic side. I think that every person that invests in this area, he do good business in this case.
All right, Mr. Ayub Kara, thank you for joining us. Moving on to a very different matter, as retailers gear up for fall and winter fashions, Jewish designers were out in force at recent trade shows. Rebecca Honig-Friedman reports.
Fashionistas descended on the Javits Center in New York this week for a triple threat of women's fashion expos, Moda Manhattan, Fame, and the Accessory Show, where clothing and accessory designers of all ages and stripes had the chance to tout their wares.
We're designing for a contemporary woman, fashion forward but easy to wear.
Classic, elegant.
Something to spiff you up, make you happy.
Something different to make them want to buy.
Amid this buffet of fashions, we checked in with some of the Jewish designers, like Charlotte Cruz, the owner and designer of Sweet Evie, whose handmade jewelry uses natural and recycled materials, including goose feathers. Her unique earrings and necklaces are eye-catching, but if you really want to stand out, try her avant-garde pieces.
I've got the feather epaulettes, which can be worn that style, and I've also got one on.
Or how about a feather harness?
This part's a necklace up here, and then it connects in the back, and these chains loop around her body.
And who does this California-based designer have in mind when she designs these unique creations?
Myself.
For more on these designers, and to find out how one designer went from preparing for the rabbinate to designing women's clothing, tune into the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Rebecca. There will be more from these trade shows about high holiday fashions in an upcoming episode of Modern Jewish Mom that will air later in August. And another new production of the Jewish Channel is our first sports event, the upcoming fight for Orthodox Jewish boxer Dmitry Salita. He held a press conference to announce the fight, and Christian Needon was there.
Dmitry Salita appeared fit and ready to fight this week at a press conference promoting his upcoming September 1st bout at Oceana Hall in Brooklyn. And though his opponent has yet to be named, Salita seemed excited by the prospect of promoting the fight, which will be broadcast exclusively on the Jewish Channel.
The Oceana Theater was the first place that I fought in New York City, and had a tremendous amount of community support, and I look forward to receiving that again. The card is filled with talent. There's four different Golden Glove champions. Will Rosinski is the co-main event. He's a 4-time Golden Glove champion and a Sugar Robinson winner like myself.
The fight comes almost 9 months after Salita lost to WBA light welterweight champion Amir Khan. Helping Salita get in shape for the fight is Moises Roman Jr., co-owner of Universal Boxing Gym in Queens. Along with trainer Nirmal Lorik, Roman has tried to provide the proper training environment to help Salita bounce back.
Well, you basically want to have them focused. You don't want a lot of people just running around, jumping around, hanging out. You want to have it like a camp, meaning, come in the gym, warm up, do your shadows, start hitting that bag, rope work. You don't want to have anybody asking him for autographs, anybody, you don't want to have fans around him while he's in that gym. But as time progressed with him there, then, he started relaxing and doing what he had to do. And, a lot of people don't know, but he's a real comedian, this guy.
Salita said he plans to take those training lessons to heart.
I have been working very hard, and, for the next few weeks, I'm going to continue to work very hard. When I bought the suit, I was a little bit heavier, so it fit me perfectly. Now it doesn't fit me so well.
To hear more from Salita and what others have to say about his chances, please tune in to the broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. Before we go, here's a brief TJC editorial on the Cordoba House situation. Since the Cordoba House situation has now become a Jewish issue, and since it touches on the First Amendment principles that allow me, a yarmulke-wearing Jew, to appear here on television and share news of Jewish import, I'd like to take a brief moment to speak about what an issue like this means for Jews. In recent days, I've been surprised to see many Americans and some Jews arguing that the laws available should be used to block the Cordoba House, regardless of the practical consideration that any such challenge would obviously be struck down in the courts. Anyone with any familiarity with history should take a moment to think about how those arguments are what led people of nearly every faith in America to leave their countries of origin and settle here where there is religious freedom. When various legal tricks and loopholes are suggested to get around granting a mosque permission to exist, it is worthwhile for Jews to keep in mind that when those arguments start getting used against religious minorities, our people don't do very well. And one doesn't have to search into ancient or even distant history to find examples of this being put into place. Just in the past 10 years, there have been multiple cases of Jewish communities here in the United States where permission to build a ritual boundary or eruv was denied by local boards who didn't want Orthodox Jewish neighbors, and the courts had to be used to protect Jewish rights. Jewish ritual slaughter, or shechita, is seemingly always a practice in danger of being banned in one country or another. And one doesn't have to venture far from Israel to find places in the Middle East where Jews aren't welcome at all. None of this makes the Cordoba House initiative right or the right thing to do. In trying to do the right thing, its leadership is actually being pretty classless. By way of example, even Bernie Madoff's entirely innocent cousin knows there are certain weddings to which he just shouldn't go. But what's right to do and what we should have the right to do are very different things. And if we blur that line, it's clear that we all lose. That's all for this week. For more news and analysis from the Jewish Channel during the week, please check out our blog at newsdesk.tjctv.com. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable: IO Optimum Cable Channel 291, Time Warner Cable Channel 528, RCN Channel 268, Verizon Fios Channel 900, and Cox Cable Channel 1. For more information, visit tjctv.com.